This week's episode is brought to you by the home and auto insurance brand Canadians trust most, Intact Insurance. Well, hey, what a great day. It's me, Jann Arden, and this is the Jann Arden Podcast. I'm here with Caitlin Green and Sarah Burke. And gosh, summer is rolling right along. It is September. And actually, this has been the most beautiful few days that I have had all summer in Alberta. A little bit of rain at night, which is perfect. But how do you feel about all this, guys?
I think this is beautiful weather. I don't enjoy what it means when the weather changes to slightly cooler, though. If it just stayed this way, I could really enjoy it. But I know that it's a harbinger of doom. And so I struggle with that part of it. I do.
The temperature swings are a little intense. Like, you know, we went from like 26 degrees to like 16 degrees.
The earth is menopausal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Yeah.
She's having hot flashes. So especially here in Toronto. But I mean, it was, you can't argue that the weather was spectacular this past long weekend. I mean, it was just absolutely perfect here. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty great. I had a very chill weekend. I mowed the lawn. So my plan was to not mow the lawn again because normally I mow it that third week of August and it just doesn't have enough energy to grow anymore. And I'm like, cool. Nope. 4 inches of grass. I was out there mowing again. So it looks good. And I think I'm going to have to do it one more time before it's all over. But having said that, oh my God, I stand there like an aged man with my hands on my hips, staring out at my yard.
Yeah.
And when I realized I was doing it, I felt like I needed to, I don't know, never go out in public again. I really was so glad that no one could see me in that moment with my sunglasses on. My God, hands on hips staring at the lawn you just mowed, Caitlin?
Because you're satisfied by it. Don't you think that really that those dads, those older men in life had it figured out if they gleaned so much satisfaction from just that simple activity that maybe they are the ones who have it figured out and now you've joined their club?
I guess so. Anyway, one of the topics we were going to speak to
Jan's like, no, it was embarrassing.
What is a simple pleasure in life that you think is underrated? So this definitely falls into that category. I had such joy from that.
Right? See? I think you've got it figured out. It's the same way anytime I clean, anytime you improve your surroundings immediately and you look at it and you're like, yeah, like that's what you were doing. You were like, look what I just did. This looked bad and now it looks good. This was filled with things I didn't want it to be filled with and now it's improved. Like I just feel like it's so satisfying. It's great. So cleaning would be that for me. One day, hopefully if I ever have a yard somewhere, and I will do the same thing. I will bask in the glory of a tended yard.
Well, my geraniums have suddenly come to life.
See?
So the last 2 weeks, I was like, okay, end of summer. That's how it goes.
You said they were looking kind of like foppish.
Yeah, they just had given up. And as we do sometimes. And then I'm glancing over and I felt so guilty because I'm like, I haven't watered these for 6 days. And they've decided that, no, we've still got shit going on. So they're going. My friend Nadine's like, what's going on with your flowers? My geraniums have suddenly sprung to life. So these really are things that are underrated, simple pleasures. You guys, I'm going to go to you, Sarah, a simple pleasure that you think is underrated in your life that maybe other people wouldn't appreciate.
Golden hour sun in this condo is the most beautiful. Like when it's that golden hour before dinner and the sun is like kind of setting, it sets like over this direction. And it's so gorgeous. My plants like glisten and it just makes me so happy. Like put on Casey Musgrave's Golden Hour and you got yourself just a happy time.
A heck of a night.
Yeah.
Did you ever think you'd be at an age where you took the time to really understand that was a moment to revel in, that was that moment that you should pause, commit it to memory, stuck it away there sometimes for when days are tough. You can go, oh, but I've got that sunset to kind of lean on. I don't know. I think when we're young, we're just busy being, and you guys are young. I didn't appreciate a sunset till I was 15 fucking years older than you guys are.
Oh, really?
Excellent.
I don't think so. I think I was on the road constantly. I was in a bus, I was in a hotel. I was so busy trying to make something of myself that I wondered if I stopped enough to go. A lot of it I don't even remember, to be honest.
Yeah. I think a lot of it does come with like when you and it's this whole because it started from this Reddit thread that popped up about, simple pleasures in life. But I think a lot of it is just when you take a moment to like slow down and not be this hustle culture, goal obsessed, on the go person trying to, acquire things. If you're actually focusing on enjoyment, then it really your list kind of comes into focus where you
And
might
what is on
really
your list?
I mean, cleaning is definitely one for me. Like cleaning is I love it. I'm
Me too.
settling into it's so satisfying when it's done. And the same thing with like self-care. Oh my gosh, if I just have, some time to really oil my cuticles and like have a lengthy bath. I mean, I love that. It's the same thing with like baking. Like when I have a bunch of I'm like, "Oh my god, I have so many different flours. I have like almond flour, coconut flour. Like I have way too many things in my baking cupboard." I'm like, "You should just make stuff. Stop buying baked things. Or just make them." When I finally turn a bunch of ingredients into a thing that I enjoy, that's it for me. And of course, like a sunset, yes. A walk through a park, always. All these things, like
Feet in
it's
the
just
water or
oh,
the ground. Like, I
oh
don't know.
man.
I was really needing like to ground myself in nature this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
The things that are seemingly the stuff that really doesn't take money.
Yeah.
It's not about going and doing shopping, retail therapy.
No.
It is things that are available to each and every human being walking on the planet, is to enjoy sunset, to walk somewhere where you're outside. It's so important to be outside. I absolutely love it here.
is.
I swear to God, where I live is adding years to my life because I'm not dreading going back to work as per se. I almost feel like I've been a kid enjoying summer holidays because I
Mm-hmm.
have had quite a bit of time to myself this summer.
Mm-hmm.
But when I glance at my schedule, I can't even take it all in. It's too
It's
like
overwhelming.
I even tell my road manager Chris, don't let's not work a month in advance. Sometimes we have to because we have to book flights and hotels, and do you want to stay there? Do you want this flight at 6? Do you want the one at 2 p.m.? Like he has to run that stuff by me. But I have to admit I'm lamenting this time that I have had to do exactly what you said, Caitlin, which
Mm-hmm.
is those underrated pleasures that we don't always take time to jot down in our little memory books.
Yeah. I really think it's about, it's not about acquiring, it's about being. And I don't just mean acquiring in terms of material goods, but I mean, do you finish an achievement that society tells you is important? Like all that stuff is fine. It's fine to do. As I get older, I sort of ruminate and wonder, I'm like, how much happiness does that bring everyone? Like, I don't really know. Like, there's a lack of happiness, I should say, in our society. And I feel like maybe that's why, because there's no sort of importance placed on just like going to the library. Like I love a library. When I was a kid, I used to play library. I would pretend to be a librarian. If you can imagine how exciting that was for
Oh.
the other children to play, where I just shushed them and told them to check out a book and then sit and read. But like I love a library. I love just like a big space that's quiet and like filled with books and just people learning stuff. And so I like those types of things. And honestly, when we were away in Prince Edward County, and that was a weekend that was filled with like activities and socialization and a lot of like, big busy activities. All of our friends said when we were going to bed how excited we were about coffee in the morning. All of us were like talking about coffee. We would set up a coffee bar for the next day. Like we were like, ooh, who's having an almond milk latte tomorrow? Like who's having regular coffee? Like everyone said it's so easy and such a simple thing, but we go to bed like looking forward to that the next day, which probably is a bit of an addiction also, but
No,
still.
it's a blessing to note those things. It's a blessing to take time to note those things. I mean, how much have I been talking about my camera bird feeder?
Yeah.
To some people, and I'm sure if you're 22 years old and clubbing, you're not going to appreciate that. But I always challenge people with this: the day that you, without even your noticing it happening, you're looking at a bird and you're watching it poke its little head into a puddle of water and cleaning its little wing and flapping around and looking like a little beam of sunlight on it.
Mm-hmm.
When that day catches you, I think you really realize the preciousness of living because there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of things attracting our attention there's a lot of things pulling us in a billion different directions every day, you know, kids, jobs, desires, you know, bills, wanting to get to where you're going. But when you have that second, and I remember it happening to me, mom always fed the bird. She was always, I've talked about that so many times, but um, just standing there and looking at like a robin making its nest. I noticed it up in the corner of my garage and I'm like, what is he doing with that stick? So I went and got my dad's binoculars.
See?
And I bet you I was sitting there, and I'm not exaggerating when I tell you it was 90 minutes.
Yeah.
I had a drink. My elbow was getting sore. I kept switching arms, watching this robin weave these little sticks to make a nest in the corner of my garage. And then all that summer, this was 2 years ago, I mean, I was watching birds long before this, but watching him make a nest and then watching the birds, watching her come in to feed those little heads that came out. Anyway, it seems like a very banal, unimportant thing, but one day you'll notice things like having a coffee in the morning and realizing what a privilege it is to think about what kind of a coffee you're going to have in the morning. When Nigel's here, he lines coffee cups up every night.
See, that's what I'm saying.
But it's an OCD kind of a thing.
Oh.
But it's also the joy of he cannot wait to get up. He has 2 cups of coffee. He has his pod from the Nespresso machine set beside the coffee. It's all picked. The spoon is there. And if you open my fridge, the milks are lined up. If they're out of order a little bit, they're lined up. So
Nigel and I are cut from the same cloth. Like this is the ritual side of things. Like I like matcha green tea. I like it well enough. I don't love it. But what I really like about it is the ritual of like making it with a little whisk and all that. I haven't gone full in onto it, but I see it on social and I see chefs I follow doing it. And they talk about how much the brush and the buying it, and like just everything about it. It's this whole ritual, and I like those things. I feel like they are grounding and they're relaxing. And I, again, not to like beat the drum of awareness all the time, because like my God, we don't need to be aware of everything always. It's exhausting. But like sometimes I do think to myself, like, oh, I'm a bit bored, and then I think, what a luxury it is to be bored. Like honestly, so many people are like out here just like literally fighting for their lives. And you're like, oh, I'm a bit bored today. I'm like, okay, well, being bored is a luxury because there's so much stuff you have to do. People have so many responsibilities and duties and things that like to take a minute to be bored is in essence like, you know, it's nice. That's why kids are bored, because it's like the luxury of being a child, that they don't have a lot of the same responsibilities. So they have the you know, it's like if my son ever tells me like, oh, I'm so bored, I'm going to be like, you enjoy that feeling.
Well, contrary to what you just said, I think ritual is very much lacking in our society. The idea of ritual and things that we do. I mean, we do a lot of things repeatedly. There's things that we do every day. I mean, whenever I'm making my bed, I'm like, oh my God, I'm making my bed again. I feel like I just made my bed. Well, you did just fucking make your bed.
Yeah.
Like 20 hours ago, you just made your bed. But yeah, I think we're lacking ritual. And I don't think we're instilling that in kids, to have something that you do for yourself that's going to bring joy to your life. And maybe you have this opportunity to instill that in Will. Whereas I don't recall my mom and dad ever taking the time to have me think about things in a way that would benefit my mental well-being. Like we were talking about parenting last week, but I just don't recollect my parents ever saying, you know, if you do this, you'll feel better tomorrow. Like I had no guidance. I really feel like I raised myself.
They were surviving, right?
Exactly. That's what I think. But I think, you know what a testament to the success of everyone's, you know, of all the generations. And again, you can have individual cases where you feel like, I'm not for me though. But overall, I would say, you know, your parents' generation, they were like my grandparents, so busy with survival mode and so busy getting things done that they raised you up a level from where they started. And now you're able to look at things and say, how can I improve my mental health and well-being instead of just my physical surroundings? Because everyone's improving it. That's the idea, is that you, as the previous generation, shoulder that raise for the next one. So it's like, I can wrap my head around how to do this for Will, because some of the concerns that my parents had, I didn't have. Like they gave me a better chance at things than, you know, they probably had. And I think they still had it, like all things considered, like their parents did a good job for them. And it's like kind of like that's the whole goal. That's the whole goal in life. And I think about this speaks to the back to school of it all, because this is the back to school week. And I see so many kids going back to school. And I do think about their happiness level, the stresses of this younger generation that I didn't have, especially around technology. I mean, especially around what I see from kids now being stressed out by social media and, like you said, lacking in those rituals that we don't have as society. And like how, as a parent, I'm constantly trying to think about how to be more aware of like bringing Will into the here and now and feeling happy with what he has and building those sort of fulfilling rituals for him. It's a huge priority.
Well, you're not going to repeat the mistakes of your parents. And I
Hopefully not.
think that, well, no, I mean, I'm sure we all do things without us even knowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure my mom and dad both brought things with them that were legacy stuff. And as did my mother's mother, brought stuff from her. I mean, my God, it boggles the mind if you think how far back these kinds of behaviors go. And legacy trauma or legacy challenges or whatever, our parents kind of, this is what we learned, we're going to give this to you. But I feel like most of the parents that I know from like my generations, I'm one step ahead of you guys, but I feel like everyone stepped up to not do what their parents did. And
Yeah.
my friend Teresa and I talk about this a lot, like free range children, right? Open the
Yeah.
back door. We'll unfucking lock it when it's 6 p.m. You can come in, but literally the back door could be locked at sometimes. No, you're not coming. My mom would say to me, "You're not coming in here." But she wanted time for herself to do her needlepoint, or she was probably doing laundry or something. But yeah, I was a free range child, but I don't think there's a lot of free range children these days. You can't really afford to do that. Like just boot them out the back fucking door and go, "We'll see you in 9 hours." Like, is that
No,
no,
it's not quite like that obviously
no.
anymore, but I do think, and I sent you both in our little podcast DMs that we have on Instagram,
Hmm.
but I sent you around back to school this shot of a school that had implemented a no phone policy. And there's a really fantastic writer and sort of behavioral, I think he's either a behavioral scientist or psychologist, but his whole milieu now, his area of expertise is in removing phones from children. He does not want children to have phones, but he recognizes that there's social pressures to have one if all your friends are on one. So he really says, parents, schools, society, we all have to get behind this movement of unplugging our kids a bit because it really is damaging them. And we now have data to support this. We know it's harmful. We know it's terrible to have in schools, and it's eroding everyone's ability to bring attention and focus onto learning and friendships and in real life by
Oh,
pulling them onto their phone.
it's
It's crazy.
crazy.
So this
Teachers
was a
were always,
school.
where is it? It's in the States, Caitlin?
Yeah, this is a school. I'm looking at it right now. It is a school in the US. And what they're doing is putting their phones, smartwatches, and other devices not related to their education in what's called yonder pouches. And it's a pouch that prevents like, you can't access it. You put it in a little pouch, it locks, it's not going to get any service. And it's a locking bag that they are only able to open using magnet devices that are available at the end of the school day. So they said their goal is to address the deleterious impact of smartphones and social media on adolescents and enhance their learning by addressing school day use of smartphones. So he said, he co-signs on this and said, let's give students 6 to 7 hours a day to focus on real life away from personal internet drama. And I think it's great. It's a school in LA. It's called the Windward School. And you're going to
I
see more
agree
people doing
completely.
this. I do too. I really do. I think it's
Wasn't there a
important.
teacher in Ontario that did this 3 years ago that faced a lot of opposition? She wasn't allowing any
Yes.
phones in the school. So she was very ahead of the curve. I wish I had her name handy. I was just reading about her a few days ago in conjunction with this article. They were saying that a teacher in Ontario was preemptive about this and had her students, I don't know if they left them in a box at the front door. Obviously, it wasn't that technically advanced, but they certainly weren't allowed them. I would imagine, when a teacher does look out at, I'm sure they have 35, 40 students in each class. That's kind of what teachers are looking at these days on the average. I just read that 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
That's a huge class size.
And this
But
September, they banned cell phones in classrooms in Ontario.
Yeah. But this woman was like 2-3 years ago in her
Yeah.
particular class. You left them
Yeah.
at the door. We'll try and find that for you for the show notes. But anyway, this one teacher that they spoke to said when she looked up from or turned around from writing on the chalkboard, every head was down and every head was looking at a smartphone. So if she was even to go and have them engage in answering a question, they literally didn't know where they were. They were looking at TikTok. They were just being drained of their attention. I mean, you're a kid. You're like a golden retriever. You're like a fucking crow. Something shiny, you're going to dive down to get it.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
It's negatively impacting their sense of self and their connection to others and their ability to socialize properly. It's eroding a lot of really important things. And because it's a generation of guinea pigs for being born with these phones and tablets all around them all the time, you are only just seeing the data now to support all these doctors and behavioral psychologists saying, we got to get on top of this. So we'll include his name. His name's Jonathan. I think it's Haidt, Haidt. I've seen it written, but never heard it pronounced. So we'll include that in the show notes as well, because his work in this area is really interesting, especially to me as a parent, but it should be to everybody because, we're all going to grow up in the same world together. So you want everyone to be as well adapted as they can.
Yeah, I think by the time Will gets to, school, this stuff will be dealt with. And I think they'll have a really great plan in place. It makes me think what my version of the cell phone was in my day. So let's picture me in 1969 in second grade. It would have been notes, passing little notes. We had notes that would start and you'd scribble another thing on there and it'd be about, I can't even imagine what we wrote about. We certainly weren't writing about having crushes on boys in the second grade, I would like to think. But they were just silly things like want to meet here or who's going to be on whose team. But notes were crazy. And I remember the teacher absconding our notes, hauling us to the front of the class by an ear. I have someone here, but let's not even worry about it. You want to know who it is? Because I'll tell you who it is because I sound fancy when I tell you who it is.
Okay.
Who is it?
It's my pool boy.
Ooh.
He's back. What was his name
Steve
again?
Is here. Steve. Steve is here.
Is it broken again?
No. Sarah, a pool boy comes every 2 weeks.
Oh. I didn't
you stand
know
corrected.
And he comes and he lifts the lid. It's a hot tub. Basically, it's a glorified hot tub, but it is 15 feet long.
Yeah.
And it's 8 feet wide.
It's not nothing.
And you can swim against a current. I have loved it. My joy. Sarah has been in it. She knows how fancy it is. It's not fancy.
Having a pool boy does sound inherently very chic. It's very Real Housewives of Alberta, and I'm into it.
Oh my God. Real Housewives of Alberta. I can't imagine what that would look like. Anyway, moving on. Summer concerts have been a thing. And watching Taylor Swift's stuff unfold, the ticket sales, obviously, sometimes were very successful. Sometimes they were an out-and-out disaster. Oasis faced a very similar challenge when they announced a tour. So having these brothers back together has been the talk of the town, of the music world for the last 3 weeks. So what the hell's going on with their ticket sales?
Well, they crashed Ticketmaster. And it was their reunion tour, and demand for their reunion tour tickets overwhelmed Ticketmaster UK because more than 1 million people log in at once. And the site just completely freezes. So Ticketmaster said their AI logged off others believing that they were bots. There were all these issues with the rollout because their systems just can't handle the demand for this happening all at once. And it's the same thing that happened with Taylor Swift. And now it's happening for, the elder millennial Taylor Swift, which turns out to be Oasis. So yeah, now they're saying resale for the best seats because it sold out right away on their 17-night tour is they're going for $8,000. Like $8,000. I like Oasis as much as the next person, but that's too much money. That's too much money for a ticket.
That will make me look back in anger.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure I told you guys this, but I was playing at Massey Hall years ago. It was back in the day. I was doing 4 or 5 nights in a row, and I was staying at the Pantages.
Yeah.
Right across the street. I had stayed there for years, so I would literally walk to work. So on like night 3, I'm walking over there. I have my hat on. I go early. This is like at 4:00 in the afternoon. I got in the venue early so that I didn't have to deal with walking past people. Anyway, of course, who's out there at 4:30 in the afternoon is the scalpers. And I had a guy trying to sell me my ticket. You got tickets? I got tickets to Jann Arden. I'm like, oh, I got really great seats. Where are they? I'm right almost on the stage completely. And I just thought it was so funny. And I once I did end up buying it. It was a kind of a counterfeit t-shirt.
Oh.
and it was the worst picture of me I'd ever seen. It
Oh
looked like
my
an
gosh.
AI. This would have been like in 1997. It looked like AI had done. I had the Jimmy eye or something going on, but I did buy a ticket or a T-shirt from him for $20, which was kind of cute. But
That's
yeah,
good.
so Scalpers, $8,000 is a pretty stiff ticket price. But
Yeah.
I had heard at one point, and this was very beginnings of the Taylor Swift um, debacle tour ticket thing, $15,000 for a pair of tickets.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's still a pair, but $7,500 a piece, and they weren't even that great of tickets. It's not
I
like
know,
they
that's
were.
the thing. Like, you're not like, yes, you can say that you're there, but like, truly, what is the experience you're having? I just don't know, because I kind of grew up in the era of being able to get good seats at shows for major artists for not cheap, but like not nowhere near this amount of money, nowhere near like a Super Bowl ticket price.
Yeah.
So I think I can't, this is an area where I'm like, okay, I'm just like of another generation, because I will never pay that. I will absolutely never pay that. It just won't happen. I'll never enjoy the show that much.
Chris and I did 600 US for the Adele show in Vegas. We never ended up being able to go. We actually
Right.
got the tickets to
Mm.
his mom. You remember that long time
Yep.
ago? But
Mm-hmm.
but $600 US. I thought, gosh, that's a $800 Canadian ticket. And
Mm-hmm.
the seats were okay. We were on the first balcony in Caesar's Palace.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm not going to feel bad with taxes and with something else they ding you with at Live Nation or Ticketmaster or whatever. I think my highest price ticket would be like 130 to come and
Yeah.
see me for an orchestra seat, and
Mm-hmm.
that's with all your fees put into it.
And I think
Which
that's
I
the other,
don't
that's not a lot. And I think that's a
know.
super reasonable amount, especially for like the quality of show like you're putting on. And I also feel like there are so many artists that I truly adore that are like some of my favorite artists that are not the biggest name in the world. So I can go and see artists that I regularly listen to and follow closely for far less than that. So it's just, again, never going to be worth it, because my taste in music is not only big, massive Taylor Swift level artists. I'll just go see the
Oh
other
yeah.
artists that I like just as much, if not more, quite frankly.
Oh, there's lots of artists that I've seen too that I can go see. There's a lot of people I've seen in clubs with
Mm-hmm.
400 other people, just
Mm-hmm.
up and comers or people that are just. I agree completely. Just supporting that aspect of live music.
Mm-hmm.
I've even gone to live music that I haven't even heard of the person. I'm like, I'm gonna go see what this is,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always left going, I really love that. I don't know if I would buy that record, but I really love the music. It's so important. Any kind of arts. I went to a ballet once. I don't even really like dancing. I don't. It's not part of my wheelhouse in my mind, but I appreciate it. But I just left there going, that was one of the coolest things I've ever seen, and I was kind of dragged
Mm-hmm.
to a ballet, and it was in
That's,
Calgary, so it wasn't like I was seeing the Russian Bolshoi people. And no, I'm not knocking any of that. These people were working extremely hard, and it was beautiful, and the music was beautiful.
but you loved it.
I
It was
loved
just
it.
just a great experience. That's how I feel. I like classical music. I
And
don't.
that was $100.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not like, but I'm not turning classical music on all the time. I'm not watching ballet all the time. I'm not like an expert in either area. But when I've gone to a symphony or when I've gone to see a ballet, again, experience wise, I've really enjoyed it. And it's not costing me $8,000 for a ticket. So, and I feel like I'm, again, fortunate in the sense that I've seen Oasis. I saw them at their prime. I mean, I saw them when they were just like killing it. So I'm like, these two brothers hate each other so much ordinarily when they're not both going broke, apparently. Like, I don't know that have they rekindled their relationship, or they just broke. So, I mean,
No, Bruce's take on this would be they need
yeah, what does
money.
he think? Yeah, they do need money.
He would. I'm speaking for him. He would say they need money.
Yeah.
So usually when you see these things, they need money. The only exception that I will say would be ABBA. They did not need money. They will never need money. They didn't need a single dollar when you think about what Benny and Bjorn have created, the Mamma Mia series, the movies, the Broadway musical. They're they must be played thousands and thousands of times every
Mhm.
hour globally. So they're in another realm, but yet they put that show together that is basically all AI stuff. And if ABBA got back together, they won't. They're 80 years old. I would pay $20,000 to go do that.
Oh my God.
No, I'm telling you right
Jesus
now.
Christ.
I would do something. I would sell my Jeep, my old Jeep. Every time I drive it, I have a 20-year-old guy that says, "Is for sale?" So
No
I'd
way.
say, yes, it is, because I'm going to go to ABBA.
You're
I'll just
so
give you the
funny.
cash right now.
Well,
Did you guys?
that's
Let's go ahead.
No,
I was
I
going to
would.
say that's the value of it to you. And so apparently there's someone out there who's been saying that about Noel and Liam getting back together. I just
have
hope that
no desire to see that.
yeah, like I've seen it. It's great. I love them. I love their work. I just, I hope everyone bought the insurance. Ticketmaster's insurance profits must have
Just
been
in case
massive.
there's a brotherly tiff.
Because they could have a fallout at any given moment, and you never know. And they're also moody Brits, so who knows what could happen? They could have a crazy fight on tour. Maybe they'll get into a fight over their
Even the
respective
announcement,
Cove sodas.
it said the guns are down. Like, how
I know.
dramatic is
The
this?
guns are down, and you need $50 million. Apparently, that's what they're each going to make. So
I was going to ask you guys if you saw what
50.
That's
Go
okay.
ahead.
50 million is ridiculous.
50
yes.
million.
Did you guys see what Jack White is doing on this tour?
No.
Okay, so he's doing surprise shows where they announce what it is that morning. It goes on sale, and then if you're in that city, you scramble to get tickets. And he did this a while ago. Like, I remember, I want to say like 15 years ago. I'll try and remember the date. He played like the Arva Flour Mill, like really weird venues, which was like just outside of London, Ontario. And imagine getting like, your 500 people in a flour mill for a concert. But anyway, so it's more like club shows, but he can do more than club shows now, which is what makes it so special and like a really fun way.
Maybe I should do that.
His new album is called No Name, so he's
Wendy's
keeping
on
everything
Queen Street.
vague. Yeah. Odd Burger, at least. Come on.
The Spadina McDonald's.
No, but I just think it's
That's a great
cool
idea.
Take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. I saw Sting that way once.
Ooh.
I forget where it was. It's probably Massey Hall. Well, one of those venues. Could have been something else, but yeah, he did kind of an announcement. He was on tour. This would have been the 90s.
Yeah.
And we went and saw him.
And
I had one extra ticket. And I didn't even sell it. There was somebody there and I gave it to them and he's like, "No fucking way." I said, "I didn't pay for it. I'm not charging you for it," because somebody had given me these 3 tickets and 2 of us went.
Yeah.
So I literally said, "Does anyone need a ticket?" And I'll never forget the look on the man's face. Like, I'm going to take $300 for somebody that gave me a ticket. I couldn't live with myself.
I'm inherently like opposed to waiting in line. I don't like waiting in line. It's not for me. But I do think there was a point in time, and I want to say it was Arcade Fire. I want to say that Arcade Fire was doing pop-up shows, and it was like the same thing. Night of, announce, block of tickets, you rush and wait in line. Yeah, it was Arcade Fire. And I was working freelance at the time. And so out of our friend group, I was the one who was most capable of going to stand in this line. And it was a Danforth Music Hall. I know the venue. And so I waited in line for like hours. I just like sat there on my phone.
Yeah.
And then, or BlackBerry probably at the time, and went and got
Your
tickets.
Motorola?
My Motorola, my Razor, or whatever it was. And we were back in the day, huge Arcade Fire fans. And so I think I got us all like second or third row at Danforth Music Hall to see them, because I went and I sat there with a lawn chair, like somebody waiting for, Boxing Day sales at Best Buy. Yeah. And I did it. I pulled it off. So that's the only time I did that. I would do that for Rihanna. I would 100% do that for Rihanna.
I bet you'd pay $2,000 for Rihanna too.
I would not probably pay. I can't see myself going
How
over
high
1,000.
would you go?
I can't see myself going over 1,000.
Okay.
I don't think.
Right,
and even then, it would be hard if it was a crap seat. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I'm saying I'd pay $1,000 for a great seat, but a great seat would be more than $1,000. So like, who knows what I would get?
I don't know. It would be a shot in the dark, wouldn't it?
It would. I'll take it up with Rihanna, my closest friend.
Yeah. If I can ever help you get a Rihanna ticket, I'm going to. I'm going to do that. I once helped a friend of mine get a meet and greet with J-Lo, because I'm not kidding you. I don't have a lot of connections, but I knew a guy, Lynn Holt, shout out to you.
His first name is Lynn Holt?
Yeah, Lynn. His last name's Holt.
Okay.
Yeah, they're good friends of mine, him and his partner Josh. Anyways, Lynn was running like the entertainment wing of the MGM group in Vegas.
Cool.
And J-Lo was doing that show in Vegas. So I just sent a flare up to Lynn. I said, is there any chance in hell my friend's going to the Vegas show? Does J-Lo do any meet and greets? And he actually arranged it. He goes, I don't ask for much, but I'm going to put her on the list to do it. And it was Melissa Grello.
No, it was not.
Yeah, it was. It was her and her
Oh
husband.
my God, you're the sweetest thing because she's obsessed with her.
Yeah,
like she is to. I even know that about her, like just from watching The Social. But like, I feel like, yeah. So she is to her what Rihanna is to me. And so yeah, I can't.
And what Olivia Newton-John is to me. And what would your version be, Sarah?
What's Weezer?
Who would be your? Would it be Weezer?
Caitlin knows. Yeah, Rivers Cuomo. By the way, they're here this weekend. I'm going.
Okay, what, like, you're connected in the music industry, especially in like the indie, like rock music industry. How has this not happened?
What, that I haven't met Rivers yet?
Yeah.
Slept with him.
Well, we've anteed it up.
I don't know. Like, there was a point where my colleagues at the radio station were calling it like a Weezer curse, because every single time it was like, they were coming to a music festival in London when I was on the air there, and the interview was booked with Universal, and we were like ready to go. And then, they ended up going to play the Tonight Show the night before, and so they canceled their press. Like, there was something every goddamn time. But my last interview with them was with Indie 88 and like founding members of the band, but not my guy. He wasn't there. Yeah.
This is he wrong.
Is he gonna be at this thing?
Yeah, he will be playing with his band.
All right.
On,
I know, but
Sunday.
I don't know. I don't know what kids are doing. Listen, Troopers going out. There's not one original fucking member. Fucking all these bands are out on the road. And there's no original. Styx has been playing for years with Gowan. Lawrence Gowan has been singing the Styx stuff.
It's true. But there's
sail away, come sail away, come sail away with me, come sail away. So Lawrence Gowan is doing that part.
Oh my God.
That was all Spanish to me. I was like, I'm sorry, free. Gowan?
Come sail away. No, Styx. Larry Gowan. Singing lead for Styx.
Lawrence Gowan.
Lawrence Gowan. Well, Larry. Listen, when you know as well as I have,
It's Lair. Hey,
it's even Lair. Al. Big Al is what I call him.
Okay, well, this is a wrong that needs to be righted. We need to get Sarah to meet Rivers Cuomo, because I'm like, this should be... This feels based on your space. I'm like, this does not feel unattainable.
It's the 30th anniversary of the Blue album, so I am jacked as all hell.
Formative album for me that I re-listened to when we were away on vacation, not like it was a couple years ago. And I turned it on while Kyle and I were settling into a full day of cooking. We had rented a house in the Eastern Townships, and it was one of our days to stay at the house and just cook by the fire and do that. And I turned on the Blue album while I was starting to make a pie. And both of us were like, this album still kicks ass all these years later.
The world has turned and left me here.
I'm like, these are some of my greatest karaoke picks, much to the chagrin of anyone who's ever seen me perform karaoke, because I cannot sing. But it was such a formative album for me. Oh my God.
Here's my hot tip on Weezer karaoke. You just sing the guitar parts. And then you don't have to worry about the words.
Do you want to know what's really embarrassing? Is that I also would do Gangster's Paradise.
Yes.
Just try to keep a straight face.
I would keep such a stone cold straight face. I would imagine myself as Coolio, rest in peace, and I would do like individual points and shout outs to people, and all of my friends would like cringe into another dimension and be like, we can't know you anymore. It's like, oh, that's who I am.
Well, it's the 46th anniversary of Olivia Newton-John's Totally Hot. Just put
it is?
There.
Totally you do the maritime inhale really well for someone who's from out west.
There's some great songs on Totally Hot. Oh, God.
Totally Hot. I don't know this album,
there was a record called Totally Hot.
Was it about?
You got to hear.
Okay, was
Totally
it about
hot.
her?
No, I think. Well, she's obviously totally hot. I don't know what genius titled the album. Maybe she did. I take it all back. But yeah, it's a great record. And Magic, 1980. You got to believe we ELO, the big movie, Magic.
Electric Light Orchestra.
Yeah, ELO, Electric Light. I love Electric Light Orchestra.
Okay, here's Totally Hot. Look at the cover for this.
Black leather outfit.
Yeah. Okay,
Maybe
but look at
jacket.
this. It's very chic. It's very like this could be today. I was holding the album up because people are listening to this probably being like, what are we talking about? But if you're on YouTube, she like this is, but like she's leaning against this big marble column. She's in like an oversized leather bomber. Like she looks au courant. Like she looks good. Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we can bring this back to our back to school. You know, what was so hard about that movie Grease was when they went back to school. right?
They struggled with it
Where
because
the
then they had to.
romance just
Well, of
ended.
course,
And
because he had
everything.
to ignore her.
I
He
know,
couldn't
it's
be
so
seen with
sad.
her. He was tough. He needed a tough broad. He needed a broad that put out. He needed a broad that was loose and easy and that did it in the back of a car. No, Sandy couldn't, but he couldn't let the guys know that.
No, he had to pretend that he slept with her.
Sandy.
I was like, we didn't
Yes.
address that portion of Grease properly at the time. But upon revisiting, bit of a liar, that John Travolta character.
Yep.
I forget his name. I was not,
Yeah.
I,
Well,
I
and
liked
what
Grease
a
well enough,
terrible
but,
thing to do to a woman, really. I mean,
and like, who's buying
to
that? You see
tell
Sandy. She's not
happens
doing
all the
that.
time that women are labeled sluts and whores and easy targets because men say that the guys say I had it with her. I did that with her. And nothing of the
Gross.
sort happened. I think that happens all the time.
That's such
Anyway,
loser
but
energy.
that was the whole premise of Grease.
I know. And then poor Rizzo. Everyone made Rizzo out to seem like she was some sort of like floozy. I was like,
Rizzo just knew what she wanted.
Rizzo knew what she wanted and she had a man. So I was like, what's the problem here? Rizzo's like in a committed relationship. And also, virginity is a social construct, and she figured that out early. So good for her. Maybe she's a feminist icon.
I feel like you're wearing a back to school outfit today. You've got a collar for us.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Well,
it's a very oversized shirt that I'm wearing. So if I do it up to the top button, I look like the shrunken head character from Beetlejuice. So I have to leave it a bit agape. But yeah.
Well, going back to school was probably one of the most exciting, thrilling days of my entire childhood growing up. And I had wonderful summers growing up. I played with Leonard and Dale. We just ran around like Huckleberry Finn, and it was so idyllic. I had a great childhood. I really did. Few bumps along the way, but hey, it happens. But
Mhm.
going back to school, to Springbank School, Springbank Junior High, getting to have a new outfit from the co-op. Mom would take us into town, and I remember having these rust corduroys and a kind of a
Aw.
matching shirt that had
Yeah.
little corduroy elbow patches on it. And I just thought, this is the nicest outfit I've ever seen in my life. And going back and seeing my friends, and there was like 40 kids that I went to school for, 9-10 years with. It was fantastical.
I love
Going
that.
back to school, and I loved school so much. I loved every second of it. I thank God I learned to read and write, but it was such a social endeavor for me. Bringing my lunch kit on the bus, and I don't care if
Aw.
I occasionally had a wiener in a thermos. That's okay. Didn't always work out, but
Sounds like a X-rated movie.
yeah. But Mom did her best to put lunches together, and I don't know. I know going back to school can be so traumatic for kids and so
I hated it.
nerve-wracking. Okay, tell me why you hated it, because
I didn't like school. I'm going to be
Okay.
honest. Didn't like it.
How many
I
kids
liked-
were? Can you give me an idea of the size of school? I know that junior high and senior high are very different, but was there 400 or 500 kids?
Probably. I
Okay.
can literally Google. I can
I
literally
just want to have an
Google the
idea of
size
the
of the school.
size.
I
So
think
you
my
wouldn't
Uh,
have
mom's
known all
school
the
was
kids, correct?
600.
You wouldn't
No,
have known all the
no,
kids.
no, I didn't.
Okay.
So currently serves just over 400 students.
And where was
Um,
that? Give us
so it was in the
picture.
beach.
Okay.
So in the beaches area of Toronto, wonderful school, incredibly well rated, great little neighborhood. I could always walk to school. I never lived very far from school at all, and all my friends lived around school. But I am at heart an introverted extrovert. Like I didn't really like, and I don't learn well from sitting still. I'm not a sit still and learn person. So immediately, as soon as I could, I gravitated towards like performing arts. I wanted to run around an auditorium. I wanted to go to gym class. I wanted to take music class. I wanted to join choir. I wanted to go to the library. The notion that I remember thinking, oh God, another one of these days where you walk into school and you just sit at your desk and you're at your desk the whole time until lunch. Like you just sit at a desk until lunch. Like I was like, oh, this is brutal. So like that.
Did you not have recess?
We had recess, but recess in the morning was like 15, 20 minutes. It was small, right? It was like get your energy out. And then you had lunch. And then the afternoon included gym. So that was more tolerable. But then after back in elementary school, I mean, really until we got to high school, we didn't have a drama class. We didn't have like a debate class that took place in other physical spaces. And again, something you learn as you get older, like I needed that change of physical surroundings. I loved when we had library class because I could go to the library, and choir was in a different room. But other than that, I was like, God, these days drag on in the winter. And then you go outside and it's like cold and you're just in a classroom all day. And it's like you get yelled at for talking to other people. And I was like, what the hell am I supposed to do? Sit here and stare at a blackboard? Like, it was boring. And I'm an only child. And so the social structure of group dynamics for children like also eluded me. I didn't understand it. I was like, I don't know. So it truly was not for me. But then when I got into high school and I had drama, oh, that was great. High school I loved.
I think the arts just saves kids. I wish they would pour more money, more resources,
Hell yeah.
more time and effort into the arts. I think that's what's going to change how this world is shaped and how people communicate with each other. I and I'm not just saying that because I'm an artist, but I have seen how it saves people, how it helps kids. I remember my friend's daughter was struggling so much growing up. And I mean 11, 12, 13, 14, 15,
Tough years.
those formative, really, really tough. Put her randomly, my friend's like, I put her in a drama class outside of school.
Mm-hmm.
This kid went from 0 to 100 in a week.
Mm-hmm.
Like, of 2 of these drama classes a week in the evenings, she met people that were unique and individualized and just thinkers, and I don't know, it just changed her life. She's such a good kid, you know, she's grown up now with her own kids, but it literally saved her life.
I would say it saved my life too.
How so? How, speak to that.
I went to an art school that you had to audition to get into for grade 7 and 8. And before that, I was kind of this like bookworm kid. I remember getting bullied a lot and I've kind of like felt left out because we've talked about sleepover camp. All the girls went to sleepover camp. We'd come back to school. They're all talking about sleepover camp. And I was like, oh, I didn't go. Right. So anyway, when I went to this art school, which is called Baythorn Public School, if anyone knows that school in Thornhill, Ontario, all of a sudden, you know, people aren't talking about camp. They're talking about what's the play this year? What instrument are you going to play? Right. So we had to take instrumental, vocal class, dance, and drama and visual arts.
Wow. I would have loved that.
I mean,
even the
struggled.
dance part.
I loved the dance part because I did do dance outside of school too, but the visual arts was like kind of tough for me. I was like crumple up, throw it out, have a tantrum, come back the next day type of girl. Yeah, it totally like made school a different, and that's why I'm outgoing today is from that experience.
Yes,
I know that.
Precisely.
I know that.
Yeah, I think that
dear government,
I know.
please.
It's crazy that parents have to like source this outside of the school. So I am very keen on paying attention to like what is offered at the schools that are going to be in various like areas of Toronto, because the catchment that you are in for your kid's school in this city makes a massive difference. And we pay so much in taxes already. Like, why should you have to pull your kid out of the public school system? Like, it doesn't make sense. So I think as soon as Will shows his own inclinations, it's like, I want to find the schools that sort of support that. It may not be performing arts at all. He might be really athletic. I was not. So he would be going against the norm for me, but like he might be, if he likes performing arts, I'm going to be like, we are going to find you a school with a sick auditorium and a drama teacher who knows how to do things, and you'll just thrive. And it improved my other classes. Like, once I started having a reason to look forward to going to school every day, then I was more inclined to go. Because I'll tell you, I didn't care for rules. If I saw no reason to go to school, like, I would skip class. Like, I didn't care.
Oh, ask me how many times I made it back after lunch.
Oh, I know. See? And that's the thing. Like,
I lived like walking distance from school. I would go home for lunch and then I'd be like, not today.
We had nowhere to skip too.
Oh,
yeah, it was too far away.
Like, I still drive by the school once in a while. I'll go by there, and it's attached to the arena, which was so awesome. There was a pop machine in there and a chocolate bar machine, and
French
curling
fries.
rink was there, but there was nothing else there. So if we skipped school, there was nowhere to run. It was almost like being incarcerated in Siberia. Like, you can get out beyond the gate, but we'll find you. It's flat. Yeah. You might get killed by a cow. But oh my God, I just love school. I loved it. Maybe I loved the kids. I was a terrible student. I'm sure I could have been better, but I have such a visceral memory of elementary school, like the 5th grade at Elbow Valley Elementary. And they sent a note home that, you know, you give to your mom. And it was about getting one of Dad's old dress shirts for art class. Aww. And I remember the teacher rolling up the sleeves of this printed man's shirt. It was probably, oh God, down to my ankles. It's just a long dress shirt and having it buttoned up by the art teacher. And, with paintbrushes and stuff, I was in my glory. Things like that I can think about. I'm like, God, are those memories even real? Love school. So I do, like I said, going back to this whole idea of kids being stressed out and, especially when you start a new school, like I would imagine when you jump from elementary to the junior high. What is it in Ontario? I know that senior
7, 8
high
is junior high.
and then 9,
High
10.
school is 9 to 12.
Right.
Most people just say public school and then high school. Like I don't hear a lot of
Okay.
junior high.
So high
talk.
school is an optional, you can go where you want in high school, correct? In Ontario?
No.
It's still based on where you live.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can't just go, we're going to a different
Unless you
hood.
audition for a program where you're like paying into something.
Yeah, there are some certain schools like that are it's an audition like process, what Sarah outlined. Like I know that like Etobicoke School for the Arts is the same way. I think there's another one called Wexford that's the same way.
Unionville High School, which is up in Markham.
Yeah, so there are some special schools and they'll take you based on your, qualifications or skills less than like your catchment. But I went to the high school that happened to be like I was in district for, and it was fabulous. It just happened to have a great drama teacher and an auditorium. And so that's what I mean. Like it's really worth researching what the school district is when you buy a home in Toronto. It's incredibly important because if you wind up in a bad school district, oh God, like it's just, it's so stressful for the parents because you're constantly hedging against this terrible education that they're getting.
Well, I know that some families here in Springbank, where I still live to this day, I know that quite a few of the wealthy families took their kids out of Springbank Community High School and they went into town. Because I remember, just even keeping in touch with kids all these years later. I'm like, oh, you left in grade 9, didn't you? Like, yeah, I went to Bishop Carroll. My mom sent me in there with my sister and blah, blah, blah. So we lost quite a few kids. I mean, we barely crippled together basketball teams and volleyball teams. It just was dismal.
And everyone was on the same team, like hockey, volleyball.
I was on every team. Like if you tried out and made any effort, you would get on a team. I mean, imagine me playing senior high school basketball. It was laughable.
That's cute.
I mean, I'm 5'0", but I could dribble like a bat out of hell. But I don't think my coach don't ever shoot. Don't waste your shot.
Don't waste your shot.
Pass it off.
You were just dribbler Jann.
Yeah, just a dribbler. I think I just went between. I was like a Harlem Globetrotter. I was like a trick player. I was so short. I would just buzz around people, and they were too tall to frickin' swat the ball away from me. It was just too low to go.
That's funny.
Anyway, before we leave, I do want to address the Paralympics because the Paralympics, they take place after every major Olympic event, Olympic year, and they're always really exciting. They're always that gut-wrenching moments where you see a lot of tragedy being triumphed by these great success stories, people that have overcome physical challenges and lost limbs, or the array of stories that are behind these athletes when they do those personalized focus stories. You're like, what the actual shit? How is this person even standing, even smiling? And they really are. If you've not watched them, not been watching them, you missed out. But one of the main stories that have come out of this, which is really funny, and of course Caitlin sent this to me, was the break dancers. And the headline of this particular story is the Paralympian break dancers are further proving that Reagan, the terrible Australian break dancer, needs to reevaluate her life.
Actually, I wrote that.
Oh, you did that.
That's my commentary.
Oh my God, you should be writing the fucking headlines. I laughed out loud. So tell me about that. Listen, I'm going to put you down to write headlines for newspapers because these are things that capture my fucking attention.
Yeah, so this was
Times.
The Caitlin Times. Oh my God.
The Caitlin Times. I'm down. I'll be your first in line to subscribe.
Yep. So this sort of starts making the rounds because it turned out that it was a group of Paralympic breakdancers, and their name is Ill Abilities. And it's a breakdance crew of disabled breakdancers that actually opened the breakdancing at the Paris Olympics as well. And so everyone's like, this brings into focus just how terribly underqualified she was to be there, and makes her performance all the more embarrassing because the this breakdancing crew, like, holy smokes, they are good. What they can do with, missing limbs and on crutches is just
Can we link that in the show notes,
we
Sarah?
can. It's incredible.
Yeah, you really need to watch this one particular clip because you can't get your head around what's happening.
You
And
can't.
what's so weird is the breakdancing was not part of Paralympic Games this year, even though they're amazing.
Even though they're amazing, and they opened the Paralympic, and they
But
opened
there's talk that they might be.
Yes.
There's talk that the next in 4 years from now that this could very much be one of the sports.
Yeah.
But
So their content is now circulating because the Paralympics are trending and everyone's like, hey, did you see ill abilities? Because I feel like they kind of got swept under the rug in the ray gun story taking the headlines out of the Paris Olympics because they opened it and they were fantastic. So the other thing that's been making headlines too out of the Paralympics is this archer named Matt Stutzman. Have you seen this? The armless gold medal winning archer?
No.
It is so incredible to see this guy.
Does he not have any arms? Just stubs?
He has no arms. He has no arms. And
but some kind of something on his shoulders?
Yeah, so he has an apparatus, and basically they're saying he's completely redefined the sport of archery for the Paralympics, and that he can hold a bow with one leg, pull the bowstring back with his jaw, and then hold all this potential energy and release an arrow so accurately that he's winning gold medals. And he's doing his accuracy, his speed, all the measurements for success in archery. He's outperforming most people with arms. I mean, this is crazy. So his backstory is really fascinating because he was born without arms and he was adopted at only 4 months old by a family of hunters in Iowa. And so he grew up wanting to do what his dad and his brothers did. And so his dad, and this is the great thing about parents, they just look at their kids as people, born without arms. They're like, we're
let's
hunters.
Figure it out, son.
Let's figure it out, And so they did it. He just got him a bow, figured out how to do it. And now he's redefined the sport. And there's another, a woman named Sheetal Devi, who doesn't have arms. And because she's been studying the way he does it, now she is at the Paralympics. I think she won bronze in a certain category for archery as well. So they're like, this guy has redefined how we can do archery. And I love the Olympics. It was actually really fun to watch parts of it this year. But man, you want to be impressed? Tune into some Paralympics because holy shit.
Just defying all odds.
I watched the 100-yard chair dash.
Mm-hmm.
These chairs are like state of the art, one huge wheel. Their arms, their upper body strength. I'm telling you, you can't fathom the speed in which these athletes are going down a track. Never mind that. The direction, like they're going so fast and they are bolt straight, like they are just down the line. There's nobody crossing it. Like the three of us, we're about to sit in a wheelchair and try and go anywhere. I mean, I know this is years and years of training and a lifetime of being in these chairs, but the athleticism is beyond belief. You really learn to appreciate and understand what it's like. Look after yourselves, for crying out loud, because and what people deserve to have in this society. Further that, like, make sure they have everything that an able-bodied person has. It's still these games bring awareness to so many different parts of our society and how marginalized people are still in this day and age fighting for any kind of equality. It's disgusting. So,
and like, I also feel like sometimes I look at this and you're like, yeah, like they don't, like, people with disabilities don't need your pity. They need some funding and some resources and some help. Like being empathetic. Yeah. Being like empathetic is like one thing to the fact that like they're going to be disadvantaged the way our society is set up in many ways. But I watched this and I was like, you guys are so much better at this than I would ever be. Like, truly, it's just, some people walk with their legs. Some people get around with a chair. It's like, you can see here that they've like leveled that playing field and just done so much. I was like, I cannot stop watching footage of it. It's just blowing my mind.
Yeah. You got to do it. Be inspired. Listen, we got a lot to talk about in Patreon. And there's some things that we're going to talk. No, for our only Jans. And believe it or not, I want to talk about periods.
Oh.
And we're going to be talking about periods a little bit. I've got a few tall tales and a few interesting little stories about a friend of mine.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about periods. And we're still in our going back to school theme. There's some things about sexual awakening that we're going to be touching on the other side, which is quite interesting. Things that I've had to think long and hard about. And trades that I made, trade-offs that I made that could have been the very beginning of
young Jann at the trading
something.
post.
I don't even know
Emphasis
what
on
to
the
say.
long and hard. Okay.
But emphasis on the long and hard. But also summer jobs that I should never have had. And
I love a summer job. I love a summer job.
I know,
Yes.
and it feels like it was yesterday that we were talking about summer jobs, but there's so many great things here. Oh my God. There was something I was talking about with a friend yesterday, but I'm not going to talk about it here. We're going to say goodbye for now. We're going to leave you with some voice notes that we haven't even heard. So a lot of times, we'll review them because God forbid someone says something terrible about me or Caitlin or Sarah.
Or makes fun of my microphone, apparently.
Makes fun of your Caitlin holds her microphone, as you can see right now. And I've had so many people. I don't know why you're not seeing these. Like,
I
can
haven't seen this
Caitlin not
criticism.
have a stand? Does she not have a stand for her microphone?
Okay, first of all, just because I look like I'm emceeing a wedding doesn't mean that my microphone is low quality. It's a good quality microphone, and the sound
Nobody
is what
has said
counts.
shit about the quality, girl.
I know, but they want me to they want me to have it like here, and I just the height of my table. I do have a microphone stand, but it wouldn't go low enough. And the way that I'm situated, this just is more practical. Although now I should maybe, in fact, look into like an Amazon level mic stand, just because now the haters are in my head.
Do not change anything. Look at mine. Look at people are like. I get comments about my hair. I get comments about you looked tired today. Jesus,
Shut the hell up. I probably am tired. Shut up. We're all tired. Life's tiring.
But here's me. So this morning I'm like, oh God, I've got to pick up because our YouTube game, I've got to make an effort. So I worked out early this morning. Well, yeah, so you did. You guys look as cute as can be. You always look great. But people are like, oh. So I showered, I blow dried my hair. Now my headphones are going to wreck my hair for the day, but I'll get past it. Anyway, here's some voice notes without any other further ado. We have not screened these. Damn the torpedoes. Let's go.
Okay.
Hey ladies, my name is Nicole, and I just wanted to leave my very first voice note. You have officially popped my voice note cherry. I just wanted to take a minute and thank you all for getting me through an absolute horrifically difficult year so far. I'm helping care for my elderly mom who has started her dementia journey, and while we struggle to find any type of home care in Ontario, I am her caregiver. So once a week, I do the 2-hour drive each way to help shower her, prep her meals for the following week, laundry, all of the ins and outs of her daily world. And I was finding the drive home to be such a difficult, dreadful drive. It was filled with tears of exhaustion, sadness, and endless thoughts of, did I do enough? Am I doing enough? What else can I do? How much vacation time do I have? How am I going to balance next week's, budget with gas and medical needs and all of the things that it was starting to take a very strong hold in my mental well-being. And I'd never actually listened to a podcast before, so I tuned into yours, Jann, and honestly, you're now the sole reason I can do what I do. I tune in, I laugh, I cry, and the drive home is something that I no longer dread. So thank you from the absolute depths of my heart for making this journey one that does not feel traveled alone. Keep on keeping on, all three of you.
Oh, that's
I'm gonna cry.
Nice.
Oh my God.
We love you. And
that's so sweet.
All the power to all the hard things you're doing. Jeez.
So many.
Oh, been there. I don't envy you, Nicole. I don't envy you. And I will say this. It was the worst part of my life. It was the hardest thing I ever went through. And we all know this with parents. You've had stuff with your dad, Sarah. You've had stuff with both your mom, recently. Parents are tough. And as they get older, it's tough. Worst part of my life has turned out to be the most wonderful aspect of my character was looking after my parents. I stepped into a part of myself and I became the person that I always knew I wanted to be, and a person of my word, and that I could do it. So it's filial piety. And what I mean by that is that honor of our parents, whether you have shit memories of them, whether they were terrible parents, whatever they did to you, the whole concept of looking after them no matter what, like, trust me, I would have liked to have just put my dad somewhere and fucking go, there you go. This is what you deserve. And this is what you did to yourself, but you don't do that. Love doesn't work that way. You find a way through it. And even looking after him and forgiving all that shit. Good for you, Nicole. It is going to benefit you in so many ways. I'm proud of you, and we're really, really grateful you listen to our jargon. We have a lot of fun. We're friends, and we've gotten to know each other these last few years, and we're just really grateful.
Also,
Keep
like,
listening.
not just because you chose to listen to us, but choosing to pair something or identifying that something is very challenging for you, like this drive home, and then pairing it with something you enjoy is actually some great cognitive behavioral therapy that I don't even know that Nicole was aware she was doing, but they do tell you to do that, to sort of pair it. So, if, frequently my therapist would tell me, if you have something you don't want to do or you're dreading, look, it's going to be challenging for you emotionally, try to pair it with something you like, whether that's save a podcast you really want to listen to for that drive home, exactly as she did, or grab a cookie, or always tell just reward yourself somehow. So you've already done that. So without even knowing it, you're actually
That's great advice.
doing the right thing.
And we're
Love
here
it.
for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Great
Here's
advice.
another one.
Hi, Jan. It's Janice Sumpton, or Jan, from London, Ontario, and I love your podcast. You three ladies are amazing. I listen all the time when I am driving back from Waterloo to London,
More driving.
when I have visited my 91-year-old father. And
Wow.
you keep me company on the 401, which anyone in Ontario will know
Hell
is
yeah.
insane.
And
So
terrible.
please keep up the good work. This is my very first voice note. I
Oh,
am 65 as of a couple weeks ago. So
Happy birthday!
I'm a little nervous, but I thought I'm going to do it and keep on singing. Can't wait till the new record's out. I'm an avid concert goer, and please keep that podcast coming. I absolutely love you three ladies. Thank you. Bye.
thank you so much.
Okay, we got
Wow.
There's a theme materializing here.
Let's see if we've
People
got
are
someone on
looking
the
after
road
their
here.
frickin' parents and driving home with us, so it's
Hell
great.
yeah. Hell yeah.
We know our target demo.
Hi there, Jan, Caitlin, Sarah. It's Donna from Toronto. And yeah, I've been listening to your podcast now for a year or so and just love it. But just tell you a little experience. I got back from visiting friends and my family in Newfoundland. So I'm walking on my way down into the Taylor Creek over here. And I'm listening to that podcast, Jan, where you were talking about having to go pee when you were on the mower. So I'm walking and I'm listening to this, and wouldn't you know it, but I just have to start to go now. So I'm no longer enjoying my wonderful walk and listening to you guys. I had to hightail it down to the creek, find a few bushes, and
You're my girl,
had to
Donna.
calm down and try and do a pee without peeing on my feet. Anyway,
That's
I just want to say that I absolutely love the podcast. And yeah, you make me laugh every day. Take care, everybody.
Oh, thanks, Donna. One more? Last one?
Yes, God.
Okay.
I know exactly where she was hiking, and there is actually there is a Tim Hortons and a Starbucks not super far from there. But I mean,
Who
when you
wants
gotta
to
go,
pee in a building when you can
It's
pee
true. It's
outside on
true.
your feet?
You're meant to pee outside in that situation.
Okay, here we go.
Hi, Jan Pod. This is Leslie from Toronto.
Leslie?
Jan, I've been a fan of yours since I Would Die For You. I would die for you.
Oh, a singer.
And I love the format of this podcast and the perspectives that each of you bring to the conversations. I have a question for you about imaginary friends. Did you have any as a kid, and do you still have them? I listen to you when I'm out walking my dog on Saturday mornings. And now that you've got the Only Jans on Patreon, I'm starting to feel like the three of you are my imaginary friends. I did get to meet Jann once about 7 years ago, which was a thrill. And Caitlin, you and I live in the same neighborhood. So when I'm out walking, I keep imagining that we're going to run into each other and catch up over a beer at one of our local breweries. And Sarah, when I ride my bike west along the lakeshore, I think, oh, we could go for a bike ride or a run together. Yes. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to meeting you all IRL at the live event in October. And I mean that in a non-creepy and non-stalkerish way. So thanks again for all you do.
And that's on sale today, Friday, when this new episode is out. But, you know, if you're listening after, we really hope that you got your tickets.
I also love that she's a Leslievillian and her name is Leslie. Because I live in Leslieville.
That's fantastic. And thank you for listening. Thanks for, thanks for the question. And as far as imaginary friends, I will say I talked to myself a lot as a little person. Like I did. I talked to myself a lot and I played a lot by myself. Both my parents worked. My older brother was off committing crimes. I think my little brother was going to university. So I was alone in the house. And I played teacher a lot, but I talked out loud to myself. I listened to records. Once again, arts and the music. I listened to records and played my mom's guitar. So I think my imaginary friend was my creativity. And but thanks for the question. Yeah.
His name was Lob. That's all.
Lob. L-O-B?
Yeah. It was like,
Lob.
I feel like I can remember playing on the playground and like, yeah, just like telling a friend like, oh, we're not alone. Lob's here.
I wanted an imaginary friend, and it's a part of childhood that I felt left out of.
Lob would love you.
But that's nice of him. I can borrow Lob.
Lob is the greatest name
so cute
of
because
someone.
It's such Lob. You know what I mean? It's also like how you would pronounce love if you were a little kid. Like I love you.
I love you.
I think that's so friggin' cute. I loved my stuffed animals, and I had stuffed animals who I carried around with me all the time. No, but my imaginary friends were usually Calvin and Hobbes. Like I really had an unhealthy parasocial relationship with Calvin and Hobbes.
But that's your imagination once again too. You can transport yourself. That's what young minds can do. You can transport yourself into that world, and I love it. I love our little minds. I hope we don't ever truly, really, really, really grow up. I think it's the only way to change the narrative of this world and how shitty and angry everyone can be sometimes. But man, are there ever good people out there? This podcast reminds me of that week after week. So thanks so much for listening. We're now going to go talk about periods and love stuff and maybe a little bit more lob. Listen, we cannot wait to see you guys. It's less than a month away now, October the 1st. Less than a month away. And hopefully the weather's still going to be good. And we can't wait to meet you guys. And you can be as creepy as you want. Honestly, Lob will be there as well. I didn't know Lob was going to be there, but we're going to interview Lob.
I'm going to
interview Lob.
I'm going to interview
Lob. Okay, listen, guys, let's wrap her up.
We'll see you next time. Jann Arden podcast and show. Subscribe to us. Give us a review. 5 stars would help. It helps people find our podcast on all the platforms. Okay, next time. Toodly-doo.